which is going to be a bit frightening. But having said that, should we
that wasn't part of the deal.
Yeah, yes. Shall we just do the shall we just do the weather before we go live? So I'm in Bury St Edmunds, and it is snowing. It's beginning of November. We don't get snow in Bury St Edmunds in November. Tim, what's the weather like with you, please?
Yeah, similar. We've got snow too. We've had some really quite heavy flurries this morning and bitter wind, but the sun's shining now.
Excellent. And Lucy, what's the weather like in Cape Town, where you are?
In Cape Town, we have very Nottinghamshire-like weather, actually,
really?
Surprisingly enough, in Cape Town. We have blue skies with a few scattered clouds, but apart from that, no precipitation is due for the rest of the day, so fantastic.
Excellent, thank you. Well, that's the weather forecast, and we better just we better just clarify for the audience that we're not actually in Cape Town with Lucy. I think we'd all love to be there on a dreary day at the beginning of December in the UK. Everyone, we are here talking about British leeks. Well, so excited about this. With our relationship with British growers, we had a bit of a conversation with them, having seen Tim all over the media again. Tim, you're just an internet sensation, aren't you, in the fresh produce sector, with everything that you do. And God bless you for what you do, everything that you do with Leeks. And we thought we'd better give these guys a hand and see if we can get Tim on. But actually, Tim and I are just the supporting act for the amazing Lucy Parker. Lucy, say hello to everyone properly.
Hello. Hi, nice to meet you all.
So we're live now on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and on our podcast channel. And let's just give a bit of a background to why we've got Lucy and Tim on, and why we're all looking to promote amazing British leeks. So there's been a new promotional campaign designed to further drive purchases of British leeks, and has recently been launched to great industry applaud. It intends to build on the gains seen during the pandemic, which saw sales volumes up by nearly 9% in 2021. The initiative is backed by a group of 16 leek growers and seed companies. And this year, drum roll, the Leek Growers Association has partnered with popular vegan social influencer and food writer Lucy Parker, who posts as at Lucy_and_lentils and has over 170,000 followers on Instagram. Tim, that's nearly as many people as follow you on Facebook, isn't it?
Somewhere around there, yeah.
And it is well noted that Lucy's recipes are easy to prepare and have an extensive reach across a wide range of social media channels. And this will help the campaign, the British Leek campaign, reach and engage with younger audiences. And in addition to the social media, a comprehensive media relations PR campaign targeting national and regional consumer media and news channels is to be rolled out. So, Tim, we better give you a quote that was seen in the press recently. And the quote from Tim was, "Increasingly, consumers are using social media as a resource for information on food, nutrition, and recipes. In fact, recent research showed that 21% of Britons use Instagram for recipe ideas, 4 in 10 use social media videos to follow a recipe, and 26% follow foodie social influencers." So Lucy, as I said earlier, on the basis that Tim and I are here just to applaud you, it's fantastic to have someone like you on board with the British Leek campaign. Are you excited to be associated with the campaign?
I am. So I think a lot of my friends think I'm joking when I sort of put online that I was being sponsored by the British Leeks Association. So they were like, how can you be sponsored by Leeks? Is this real? So actually, when I explained that the whole process is to encourage consumerism and sort of growth and just general recognition around the vegetable, it does almost sound too good to be true, but it's a great project. And my kitchen is in full flow all the time at the moment. My boyfriend doesn't even question what's for dinner. He always knows there's going to be a leek in there in some form. But yeah, no, it's really lovely. I just love being able to share, like you said, simple recipes that show how easy it can be to actually incorporate this into your everyday life. Obviously when it's in season. So yeah, that's great. Excellent.
Lucy, it's brilliant to have you on board. Tim, it must be fantastic for yourself, especially with your role as chairman of the British Leek Growers Association, that you are an expert in what you do in growing and producing the leeks. But you and I, we don't have the ability perhaps to reach the consumer like Lucy has. Where did this idea, this concept come about finding someone like Lucy to help promote British leeks to the consumer?
I'm going to have to apologise right now because I've got the Royal Air Force flying overhead.
Hey!
Red arrows.
Well, that's part of the campaign. Didn't you read the notes on that? Lucy organised the red arrows.
Yeah, their timing's a bit off. They were meant to be about just a little bit before, so they didn't interrupt me. They didn't get the memo. It's great actually to have Lucy on board because, like you say, we like to think we're pretty good at growing leeks in this country. We grow some fantastic crops. They're ever such a beautiful. I'm biased, but they're ever such a beautiful vegetable. But probably most farmers will admit cooking isn't their forte, and neither is necessarily marketing. We all stick to what we're good at, so that's why we've got Lucy, because she's good at it, very good at it.
Yeah, well, so let's do a bit of a deep dive into a social influencer, because Lucy, Tim and I, we really want to be social influencers, Tim, in our own lives, but we don't know.
I just like to be social.
says the farmer. So I always ask this question, Lucy, of a lot of people as to what is their background and how did they get into their particular role, the sector that they're in. So let's ask you, Lucy, what is your background and how did you get to become the British Leek ambassadors as our social influencer for this campaign? What is your background, please?
So it's nothing to do with food to start with. So it all started when I was at university. I was studying interior architecture, graduated, went into the industry, and then all alongside, I didn't feel like I had a creative outlet because I feel like in the industry it was kind of squashed a bit. So I loved photography and I loved cooking. I was bad at cooking, but I was trying to learn. So I was sort of photo journaling almost my process of trying to learn how to cook. And then eventually more and more people sort of started following along on Instagram mainly. And as the years went on, I got sort of better at cooking and better at photography, and again started reaching more and more people. So it's sort of this little baby was sort of growing alongside what I thought was going to be my career in architecture. And then after a year in industry, I realized I hated sitting at a desk. I was rubbish at it. I wasn't really that good at my job anymore. And I had this sort of thing that I was thinking, this could be something, I could maybe do something with this. And at the time, I think I had about 60,000 followers. So it wasn't like a huge amount, but it was also quite a large amount of people. So then, I took the leap and basically had enough work coming in to be like a photographer for some companies, a recipe developer. In fact, actually the British Leek Growers Association, I worked with those years ago. So right at the start, when I sort of went freelance, essentially, they were a company or an organization that were sort of paying me to create a few recipes. So that really helped. So actually it's like a really nice circle. Like here we are years later, I'm a lot more established now. I've had 3 years in the industry as a freelancer. And actually now I get to be their ambassador. So it's like this really nice sort of circle where they really helped me out at the very beginning. And then here we are, like, years later working together in a much more like close environment, so it's really sweet, actually. I like that.
It's fascinating that someone like that, because we all know, don't we? We all know people that just are sat at a desk and just do not enjoy what they do, and especially those pre-COVID times who I've got a number of my mates who did the daily trek into London, and I always call them ghosts because they're sat on the platform at Stowmarket Station at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning, and I get awfully depressed for them when I ask them what do you want your kids to do, and they say not have the job I've got, and it's like, oh my god, that's like a life wasted. And then Lucy, with you thinking the same, and at a far younger age, to be able to make a difference and do something that you want and you enjoy. So if it's okay to ask a direct question, is this your career? Is this your career for ever and a day, Lucy, do you think?
Well, hopefully forever, but we'll see. Social media is constantly evolving, and I think because my job relies so heavily on paid sponsorships, paid campaigns via social media, I feel like that's it's a bit of a risky, almost like a knife edge, because it's so volatile. It can go any direction anytime soon, really. But for now, I am riding that wave. I'm just so enjoying working with people, and I think if this doesn't last forever being on social media, that's fine, because hopefully I've built enough skills to maybe, be a food writer or a photographer for a magazine, or, something else that reaches people, whatever that might be, whether it's social media or, whatever.
Yeah, well, we've used this expression a number of times over the last 18 months in the 160 plus broadcasts that we've used, that I've always been told that in a world recession, world pandemic, if you're in the eating and the cleaning game, you'll be figuratively safe. And it's fascinating with yourself that, there's always going to be a need for food photography, isn't there? You just think of everything, whether it be magazines or packaging or on TV or on social media, there's always going to be that need for photography. But I suppose it's a bit self-fulfilling in respect of your role and your pressure, because the pressure that you put on is you put on yourself, that you've got to come up with the recipes. You've got to come up with innovative recipes for all of your clients to make sure that they're enjoying it, that their consumers are buying the products. So I suppose you don't have to do a 360 appraisal on yourself every week. You just have to do what you do, being, excuse my French, bloody good at what you're doing to then be able to promote the likes of British Leeks. Would that be correct?
Yeah, I think a reason that British Leeks, hopefully, I'm guessing this is why they wanted to work with me, because it's sort of what my style is. I'm not a chef, I didn't go to like a fancy chef school or a culinary college, but I just really like to make good, wholesome food that is really easy to recreate, And I think that's the whole point of this, is to show that you don't have to be, a culinary chef to make these recipes. You can just have a few ingredients, and especially with the way that social media is going, they are the recipes that people actually want to recreate. So if I have something that I've spent 3 hours mastering, and it's like a miso braised leeks and this, that, and the other, a lot of people are like, well, I don't have that in my cupboard, so whatever. But if I do something that's like 15 minutes, here's a really simple stir fry, it's got loads of ginger, loads of garlic, this, and people were like, oh great, that's in my fridge, I'll make that. Like that's how I prefer to kind of connect with people, and I think that's how you'll encourage more use of the veg, for example. So
and I think there's a definitely, as per Tim's quotes, about 4 and 10 use social media videos to follow a recipe. Just me, case in point, I love going around with my daughter to charity shops. She's always looking to get the clothes, and I'm buying recipe books, because you know how expensive recipe books are, but in charity shops they're not. And I've got a collection of 20 or 30 of them, but I find myself, I'm now following you, I find it far easier to actually follow people like yourself on social media and get ideas, rather than delving into my recipe books, which have just turned into theatre for my kitchen. Deploying people like you to get an idea, get a steer on a recipe idea is fantastic. So no, I think you're going to be here for a long time. That's why we need to hold on to you, Lucy, for our sectors, whether it be British Leeks or other areas. So Tim, again, I think it's great that British growers, British Leeks have looked to partner up with someone like Lucy, because of that whole social media side of it. Tim, what do you want to see from this campaign from 2022 and beyond, using Lucy and all of the might that British Leeks has and British growers has? What success do you want to see, please?
Well, to be blunt, sell more leeks. But no, we just want to increase the exposure of leeks. There's a lot of people out there that don't eat them at the moment, and we want them to eat them. They're a great vegetable, and as Lucy is proving brilliantly well, they can be very versatile. You can cook lots of different dishes very quickly, very easily. They can actually be quite an accessible vegetable, and we just want people to understand that.
Excellent, well done, Tim. So we're gonna have this ongoing masterclass from Lucy from 2022 about how we can enjoy, cook, consume leeks. Tim, can you just give us a bit of a masterclass in the respect of leeks? What's the origin? How many acres, hectares are we growing in the UK? Is it easy to grow leeks? Could I grow leeks? Tim, give us the masterclass on leeks, please. Off you go.
I've no doubt you could grow leeks exceptionally well. But there's probably no need, because we've got about 4,000 hectares in the country already. So
wow.
We're about there. They're originally a Mediterranean crop, although strangely they're one of the few crops that you can pretty much grow in this or harvest in this country all year round. I mean, we can start a season sort of in June, sometime in June, and we can continually harvest them until, obviously different leeks, until the following May. And they are quite winter hardy. They do survive the winters quite well, which again, you wouldn't necessarily associate with a Mediterranean crop. But through some careful breeding over the years, we've managed to select some traits that mean we've got really good quality produce, really good quality leeks most of the year round. But they are a challenge. They are tricky, and they are getting harder for numerous reasons.
Okay, and is there a perception? Question to both of you: is there a perception that leeks are more of a winter veg in the UK rather than a summer veg? Lucy, what do you think?
Yeah, definitely. If you say to someone a leek recipe, they'll go leek and potato soup. Like that's, I think you always associate it with either autumn or winter in like sort of hearty soups and stews, especially Welsh recipes. As soon as you start looking at anything, because obviously they're so popular over in Wales, I feel like most of theirs are like stews, soups, lots of cheese, lots of leeks, and usually some kind of lamb or some kind of meat in there as well.
So do you think there's a potential to have it as an all year round vegetable in the domestic kitchen, Lucy?
Yeah, well, I didn't realise that you could start your crops. Did you say June or July?
Yeah. You can start harvesting some in June. Yeah.
I didn't realise that it was that early. That's fantastic. So yeah, of course, if that's how early you can get hold of them, because I think a lot of people are really trying to be a bit more consumer aware and buy things that are in season or local. But in terms of like, especially my generation, I feel like so many of us are trying to be a little bit more conscious, like whether it's, avocado toast is kind of a massive trend, but it's almost died right down because people are like, actually, do you know the air miles that are included to have that? Like people are trying to be more aware of it. So I feel like obviously buying local, buying seasonal is important. So if you can get them in, as harvest them that early, that's fantastic. Of course, they're so fragrant. You can put them in so many different recipes, not just hearty stews or soups.
God, guys, that's amazing. I didn't know that. So I've been in the sector for 25 years. I think of that. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this story. There's Christmas crackers. They only come out in December. A marketing company was deployed by a Christmas cracker manufacturer to try and make Christmas crackers to be used all year round. It failed. Funny that, but with British Leeks, with the right promotional push behind it, you could see how I'm just completely winging this one as normal, but the likes of the Waitrose magazine to have British Leeks incorporated into a summer salad, Lucy, and how that would extend the season for Tim and get what Tim wants. Being his definition of success is to sell more leeks, but actually it's going to do more good for all of our kids and adults. Because Lucy, I love that, but you're right on message about the seasonal veg, that we do want to eat more locally, and if between the three of us, if we can extend the season of leeks rather than just the winter season, but across the summer as well, that's going to be hugely beneficial. But Lucy, you know what the next question is going to be, and I'm just going to put you on the spot. How would you incorporate British Leeks into a summer recipe? So rather than sticking double cream on it and salt and pepper and smack it in the oven for 40 minutes, what would you do with British Leeks for say a summer meal, please? God, I am putting you on the spot.
I feel like I'm on Ready Steady Cook, and Ainsley Harriott has just pulled out leeks and he's gone, go! Oh my God,
here's your bag.
Okay, so I did a recipe earlier on in the year, and it was kind of like a stir fry, but I feel like when you say stir fry, you just think of a generic, So I actually grated or really, really finely chopped the leeks lengthways, so they almost made like noodles. They work really well because obviously they stay quite crunchy, but as soon as you whack them in a really hot wok, they'll go a little bit flimsy, so they work really well with noodles. So I might try like a Vietnamese style noodle salad. So you'd have loads of really beautiful aromatics and some kind of dressing, so either oil, chili, some kind of soy, or if it's Vietnamese, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, lots of ginger, and have like a beautiful marinade. Cook it all in a really, really high heat so that it almost just like chars it, and then have loads of other veg. So if we're talking like summer, I mean, you've got all sorts, you've literally got a plethora, but loads of colors, loads of carrots, radishes, things like that. So it's like a crunchy slaw style Asian inspired noodle salad, maybe. I don't know, does that pass? Oh my God, I'm sweating a bit here.
Tim, you up for that?
Yeah, that's pretty good. I'd go for that. I'd give that a go. Yeah,
that's just amazing. The fact that you managed to do that just off the top of your head, and just we also have to look at What would be your favourite winter dish, Lucy, on the same basis?
Oh, this is like asking me what my favorite child, because I've just made loads of recipes, winter recipes, and I love them so much. So one that I've made twice already in the space of a week is it's like a tear and share bread. Really spongy,
Wow.
really like pillowy and cushiony. But then what I've done is you sort of create like this butter garlic glaze with loads of herbs. So it's almost like garlic bread essentially. And you get these great big dough balls. And then inside I've stuffed them with really finely chopped leeks and cheese. I use vegan cheese, but you obviously can use regular. And yeah, encase them. You pop it all in like a bundt tin, bake it in this beautiful butter glaze. Again, when it's out, you put more of that butter and garlic all over it with herbs. And then it cooks the leeks with the cheese inside the bread when it's baking. So when you pull it apart, it's all this like stringy, cheesy leek. Oh my God, it's so good. So that's really good. But then I've also just made, now stick with me because the ingredients sound, the flavors sound really randomly.
Keep going. We're with you to the end of time. Keep going.
I've just done a Christmas one, which is it's like phyllo pastry, little muffin tin size sort of parcels, and inside I've done like a curried cauliflower and leek cheese, like, you know, cauliflower cheese kind of vibe. But I've diced the the leeks into large sort of diced circles, put that with the curried cauliflower cheese mix, put it inside this phyllo pastry crown, and then topped it with cranberry sauce and herbs. Oh my God, it doesn't sound like it should work, but it really does. It's like curry, but also sweet, and then you've got the richness from the pastry. It was really good. I was really impressed with that.
Tim, where did you find this lady? She's amazing.
Yeah, she's pretty good, isn't she? Yeah.
Just love food.
but let's Lucy, thank you. What a masterclass! And what's going to be great is to see your videos as they come out as we get into 2022. And I'm just seeing that pull that you're going to give to the consumer to buy more leeks, because I suppose that's the issue that we've got, as because it's a bit like all the cookery shows, isn't it? Lucy, you know better than I and Tim that what do the stats show, that they have huge viewing figures, but few people actually convert those recipes that they see on the likes of MasterChefs into actually something practical, where that's where you come in, because of the influence that you've got and those great ideas and that great imagery. So Tim, this is a very exciting time to try and get the consumer to look to. Tim, how not only can the consumer, Tim, how can we influence the retailer, do you think, to sell more British leeks and perhaps even promote British leeks in store more so? What do you think, Tim?
Well, I think to a degree, actually, in the store, leeks will sell themselves. What I think the retailers need to do is really push vegetables in general. They really need to get behind some of these campaigns that are running, like the Veg Power campaign. Really push things into schools, and just generally get people, especially children, eating more vegetables. And with that, we can run off the back of that with our campaign and really push leeks forward, and it will just come. Yeah,
well said. And this word again, collaboration. The fact, as you mentioned, with the likes of Veg Power, and we look to promote Dan Park and his great team on everything that they do, and we've got the likes of Lucy and yourself, Tim, on British Leeks. With the retailers, do you think that we do need to see more bill posting, whether that be in store or on TV or on physical billboards? Do we need to see the retailers do more to promote British veg, Tim?
Yeah, I think they do. At the end of the day, they do have a responsibility, because they're selling what we're growing. They're selling it to the consumer, to the general public, and there is a degree of trust there with the general public and retailers. So I think what the retailers can push and promote, consumers will listen. So I think they really have a responsibility to educate and to lead.
Yeah. And I'm guessing, Tim, that over the last 18 months in the pandemic, on the rise, the exponential rise of scratch cooking, have you seen an uptick of leek sales in the UK?
Certainly retail. I mean, what we found to a degree is that those leeks that would have gone into the catering sector and food service, they have dropped a little bit, but the retail sales have really exploded. And that's been great for us in getting leeks out there and other vegetables, and just people generally learning to cook at home. Obviously the reason for it's not so great, but there we go.
Yeah, but there's a South African saying about never waste a crisis. And in this specific moment, Tim, if you're seeing this uptick of British leeks, and we've got Lucy being plugged in alongside to take it to the next level, that's going to be great to further promote British leeks. And it's great that the retail sector, we're seeing that uptick. Lucy, I've got to ask you a really horny question, and it comes back to the lack of promotion that we have in the UK. And as we were saying in our green room earlier about I can't remember if I used the stat 6 out of 10 kids don't know where fruit and veg comes from, and the awful example I give, Lucy, is that there's a comprehensive school in Tolworth in South London, and for the average school kid walking from their home to school, they pass 12 pizza shops, all selling a slice of pizza at £1 a pop. How can we, Lucy, how can we get kids and their families more encouraged to adopt British leeks rather than picking up Pop-Tarts, energy drinks, rubbishy sugar-filled food? Lucy, what's the magic dust? How can we get that sort of demographic to engage more with British leeks? What do you think?
So if you're talking sort of starting it from schools, there's obviously the responsibility of schools when they're actually catering for the kids. So like, you know, obviously hot school meals, things like that. But was it last year? No, it wouldn't have been last year because of COVID, but the year before I went into one of the schools here in West Bridgford in Nottingham, and we did like a food tech or like class. It was probably about 2 hours long. And I think it was actually aimed at kids who were essentially like struggling in certain classes for concentration or whatever. So they were like, right, okay, let's harvest this energy and let's do some cooking, let's do some you know, kind of food tech. And it was actually really good. We made like a curried soup or something like that, and things like that were really great, because when I was chatting to the kids, I was like, okay, do you know what this is? Do you know what like a ginger, you know, do you know what this is? Do you know what this is? And loads of them were like, yeah, we know. Loads of them, sort of half of them didn't know. But actually in a recipe where it was like really fragrant, loads of aromatics and things like that, it was great because they were having first-hand experience with things. They were like tasting things, daring each other to eat bits of ginger, and things like that. It was just a really great lesson. So I guess you could try and encourage that kind of thing. So whether it's like literally the case of me going into schools, or a team, obviously not just me solely going around the UK, but you know, people going in and actually doing like food tech classes, where it's, because I remember food tech, oh my god, it was awful. Like I think we made tuna pasta salad for one, and then
we did that.
We made scones, but they weren't scones. They were awful. So like I remember and it was a DOS lesson. It was a lesson where you didn't care, you just went and messed around with your mates. So I think if you had it in an area where maybe you've got someone coming in from, you know, externally, so it's not your typical teacher that you want to mess around with, it's someone that might be a bit more like, you know, they might listen and be like, oh, someone interesting, or someone new, not interested, but you know what I mean? So something like that might be quite good in terms of like, you know, food tech, and because GCSE food tech is still taught in quite a few schools as well, so even getting them when they're a bit older. But in terms of like really young, I think when it obviously it's so much to do with their home life, so like fruit and veg boxes are really popular at the minute. You know, like Odd Box, I think they're mostly down in London. You've got obviously like food recipe boxes like HelloFresh and all that kind of malarkey. Like for example, my mum and dad, I mean obviously we're both fully grown adults now, my and my sister, but loads of people are now starting to actually buy these boxes like HelloFresh and, you know, Gusto and all these sorts of ones that are available. So I wonder if in terms of like getting in with those kind of companies are really important as well, because so many people now rely on these boxes for inspiration, because I think so many people get to the end of the day and after like an 8-hour shift, an hour commute, the last thing they want is to be like, oh, let's just surf the internet for inspiration. They just want something there in front of them. So in terms of that, that might be a really interesting way to get, you know, into it. So like, you know, you partner up with Gusto or whoever and have like a dedicated, you know, recipe per week, which includes leeks or, you know, some kind of seasonal veg. That might be quite good. I don't know. You can always have beautiful photos.
Well, Lucy, well done, because I've just got to go on my high horse, and Tim, see if you agree with me. I do think that there's a number of massive international food companies out there, and they predominantly want to sell high sugary, high fatty foods because they make money on it. It's a capitalist business model, and all good for them. But long term, it's not doing any good for any of our population, because of look at the obesity issue and the diabetic issue. Taste. Can you imagine having the choice between a monosyllabic Big Mac that just looks grey and dreary, and I think it was a Vietnamese summer dish that you were proposing, Lucy, and having the choice between the two. Taste. One thing I have to kick myself about this, with all the interviews I've done, all the growers, Lucy, they keep on majoring on about the taste, whether it be Leeks, whether it be British tomatoes, whether it be British apples. It's the taste. Whilst there's this high sugary food, it's just the sugar or other chemicals are available, which are enticing kids and their families to eat them. And yes, there's the convenience of buying a ready meal, but you'll know better than I, but 10-20 minutes to cook a meal for yourself or a family, it's not that hard, and it's really enjoyable. So Tim, do you think we do need to, with the likes of Lucy's assistants again, really do major on the fact of the flavour and the taste of British Leeks is so unique to anything else?
Yeah, absolutely. It's to do with freshness. It's not spent several days on a lorry or a ship or an aeroplane. It's fresh. It's pretty much straight from the field, and with that, you get the flavors and the nutrition as well. It's win-win.
Yeah, and Lucy, it feels like, I don't know, Lucy, it feels like you need to spend some time with a farmer who really knows what he's talking about, and actually go and, I don't know, dig some leeks. Are you up for that, Lucy?
100%. Tim, do you have space at your farm for me to come across and have a look?
There's always space at the moment in the picking team.
So just everyone, just to give a bit of a reveal, Lucy's going to go into Tim's farm shortly, and Lucy, I'm sure you're going to film there, and that's going to be fantastic for your 170,000 followers on Instagram to actually physically see a leek in the field and see how beautifully it is looked after and grown, and also the amazing process it goes through. If you look at the likes of YouTube, it's fascinating to see how many views there are of food going through a system, whether it be pineapple being cut or a combine going through a field. But watching Leeks, Tim, going through your process, is going to be fascinating for Lucy and all of our followers. Tim, you must be quite excited about having Lucy come on site.
Yeah, well, I'm very passionate about leeks. I like teaching anybody about leeks. But yeah, it'd be great, because I won't be able to just show Lucy. I'll be able to show those 170,000 followers.
Excellent. And Tim, just on the hectarage, on the amount of leeks that have been grown in the UK, is that fairly stable? Or with the success that Lucy's going to create for you all, is there the ability to grow more leeks in the UK as the sector gets even more sexy, more appealing to the consumer and the retailer? Can you grow more, Tim?
Well, naturally, of course, as sales explode after today, we should be able to keep up. The land that's suitable for leeks isn't entirely exhausted. Of course, it's competing with other crops as well, but within rotation, we can actually do quite a lot. Modern farming practices, we can be pretty productive. Yeah.
And
sky's the limit.
Are leeks, are they a difficult crop to grow?
Yeah, they're pretty tricky, especially, something that you're trying to keep in the ground for 13 months of the year. It's going to take quite a battering. So, there's a lot of care and attention and tenderness that's got to go into it. You've really got to look after them. They're a bit fickle. I sometimes describe them as the sheep of the vegetable world. They're,
Yeah. So Tim, just tell us again for the uninitiated, from seed to this leek being picked, how long is it in the ground from when till when it's actually being picked, please?
Right, so that can vary. That could be from 90 days up to probably around 13 months. 13 and a half months would be the maximum. Yeah.
Wow. And Lucy, the thing that I always I'm never surprised, but always amazed by the likes of Tim is, and he used that word earlier, love, the love that farmers, that growers have for their vegetables. I'm putting words in Tim's mouth. I'm probably going to embarrass him here, but he'll know exactly the sentiment that I'm giving. That his field of leeks are like children to him. The fact that he's put so much love and energy into them, and the sunshine, he's growing sunshine, and the fact that it's going to end up in hopefully a kid's dinner at a school, or mum and dad are going to scratch cook with it, or they're going to scratch cook with it. So Lucy, hopefully you can take some of that piece of magic as well to present over to your followers. So it's not just the taste of it, but it's the love and the energy and the devotion that growers give to the leeks.
Well, look at you just have to look at lockdown, for example. How many people would get allotments were literally in such high demand.
Yeah.
There was like a waiting list of a year, you know, everyone wanted an allotment. Everyone that I know had a go at growing their own, whether it was like tomatoes on the windowsill in the flat, or they were trying to grow kale in a box that they'd just built in their garden. Like there were so many people during the lockdown that were like, do you know what, I'm going to give it a crack. Why not? Let's give it a go. So you can see that there is an interest there. People are genuinely like, and then the thing I love most is when you get people that, you know, they'll bring in like what's it called, is it a glut, when you have all the excess veg from your you know, whatever's going on in your garden or your allotment, and they bring it all in and they give it to you with such pride. It's like my homegrown tomatoes or this, that and the other. And it does taste so much better. There is no denying that. You know, you go to a supermarket and you buy like a pack of tomatoes. I'm using tomatoes as a prime example. They are so tasteless so much of the time. But then when you have someone that's grown them, or you've grown them yourself, it's like pride. It's such pride, because you've seen it come from nothing into something. And people were doing that just with gardening in general, let alone veg. I think gardening really took off, because it's something so magical about seeing, you know, a little seed in the ground, and all of a sudden it's there on your table giving you, you know, your dinner. It's the most human thing. You know, humans have been farming for centuries, so it's nothing new, but I think people are so far removed from it. So when they give their hand at it, they're like, oh my God, this is actually really cool. So yeah.
So Lucy, it's great that you're going to collaborate with Tim. So this initiative is backed by a group of 16 leek growers and also their seed companies. We mustn't forget the seed companies that are behind this as well, because if it wasn't for the seed companies, we wouldn't have the leeks in the first place. Just to use my buzzy word, my word of the year of collaborate. How can all of those leek growers, over and above Tim, how can those leek growers and the seed companies help you to get that message across? You're going to go visit Tim. Do you want to visit other growers, or do you want to go into restaurants with some of those growers? Do you want to go to schools with some? Well, let's just stick up a whiteboard and go for it. How can they all help you?
Yeah, I guess schools are a really good one. So again, like I've already worked with one of the schools here, so could even see if they would fancy getting on board and saying, well, I'm working with the British Leek growers at the moment. How do you feel about let's come in and, you know, make a few recipes with the kids? That's like a really simple one to start rolling out. But I guess again, like the fruit and veg boxes, I feel like that's a really good one. So if we could somehow get in touch with, you know, whether it's Oddbox or some kind of company, and have like a special month where I'll create recipes they can put inside their boxes, and when they, you know, send them out, oh, here's a suggested recipe, you've got 2 leeks in your like Riverford veg is another box, veg box that do it. So like, you know, they're directly working with the farmers, and they're obviously sending out these veg boxes. Then we can send ideas and be like, oh, why don't you try this? Why don't you try this? So that's like a really simple way of marketing and getting it out there. But yeah, me and Carol, so Carol does a lot of the PR for them. We were sort of saying about vlogs on YouTube always do really well when it's like street food, or they go and they try loads of local ingredients and then they try recipes that are made up. So we were sort of just spitballing with the idea of maybe going to like Wales and trying like, you know, some of the really typical Welsh recipes that you get so much of leeks highlight so much in Welsh recipes. So whether something like that, I mean, we could do Lincolnshire, but I mean, I lived in Lincolnshire for like 10 years. I'm just trying to think, if we did a street food tour, Tim, where would we begin?
I suppose, Tim,
maybe not Lincolnshire.
Tim, I suppose Tim, that's also the difficulty in the respect of we are one country, but we've all got our different demographics going on within there. And Lucy, we have to remember the fact that, and Tim will help me with the stats here, that I think it's 85% of all fruit and veg is sold in the retail sector. So as well as doing the likes of the collaboration with the box schemes, it would, don't ask, don't get, to try and create a collaboration with the key retailers as well, to have recipe cards. And Lucy, that'd be fantastic to have your name all over the front of the fruit and veg aisles and Sainsbury's and Tesco's and Asda and Waitrose and other retailers. There's so much to go for, isn't there?
I used to work for Waitrose. I worked there for 5 years whilst I was doing my degree. So they featured me 1 month on the Waitrose, like the Chronicle, which was like their workers magazine, because it was when I started my Instagram, and I think I had about 20,000 followers. And I remember there's like a picture of me like this on the front cover. I just think, like, how cool would that be? Like, again, it's probably like more like 10 years now, but 10 years going back and actually being on the little placards, you know, when you exit the store, they've got all the 4 recipe ideas. I mean, that would be just so sick to see. And obviously working with the Leeks and having it like meaning something and actually being for something, I think that would be pretty cool. So yeah, I'll get in touch. You know, I'll see if I can find a contact from somewhere. Speak
to Carol, and I'm sure the two of you will get that sorted out. Tim and I, we've only ever had our pictures on Crime Watch, so we're going to watch you with amazement as you do that. So come on, guys, let's wrap this up in an even more positive manner. So Tim, you're excited about where this is going, but Tim, what's your message to the trade and to consumers as to why they should endorse, buy, consume more British Leeks? Why should we buy more British Leeks, Tim? Over to you, please.
Well, they're tasty, for one. They're versatile, as Lucy has proved fantastically, and there's a pretty big season to them. So if you're going for a seasonal veg, you pick up a Leek, chances are it's going to be British.
Tim, well said. And Lucy, you and I have learned so much from Tim today in respect of, we just thought that the season for Leeks was quite narrow, but the fact that it's actually potentially all year round, that's going to give you so much more to go out, Lucy. So Lucy, what's your message to the trade and the consumer? Why should we be enjoying more British Leeks, please?
Well, again, going off the versatility side of things, I have had my eyes open just from trialing recipes, like how versatile they are. So you can literally use it in like as a lasagna sheet. You can use it shredded within, like, to sort of create like vegetable noodles. It works so brilliantly in stews, but it also works really well actually on its own as like a, you know, a side recipe or something. So I feel like versatility is absolutely key, and the fact that it's so quick to cook as well. It can sit in something for like an hour and a half if you want it to, but it can also be, you know, one of these 15-minute, 20-minute meals. So it's just a really cracking veg. Like, I feel like, how else do I blow its trumpet? But yeah, it's just it's a really good replacement for other ingredients. It's fragrant, again, it's tasty, and you don't just have to have it with leek and potato soup. And hopefully that's something that we're trying to share, which is really good.
And I think
just don't boil it. Whatever you do, don't boil it. I die a little bit inside every time somebody tells me they boil leeks.
No,
we'll make a mandatorium on that to ban any leek boiling. That's you can't do that to lobsters anymore, and we're definitely not going to allow that for leeks. Tim, I think it's been a masterclass to be able to secure Lucy the recipe ideas and the inspiration that she's got and the delivery. You can just see that from her enthusiasm for what she's going to achieve for you. It's going to be so exciting. So I suppose you're going to have to start planting more leeks, Tim. You and the other 16 growers and the seed companies, your partner seed companies, are going to have to keep up. So guys, to wrap up, come on, Tim, how are you going to have leeks on Christmas Day? We're filming this at the beginning of December 2021. We got all the excitement, that early excitement of Christmas coming up. Tim, how are you going to have your leeks on Christmas Day, please?
Well, it's probably going to be a bit cold. I have to admit. No, I'm not going to say ashamedly. Unashamedly, I like them fried with a bit of butter and a bit of pepper.
Oh, that's literally what I was just going to say. I was going to say, with Brussels sprouts, I usually hate Brussels, but I've done this recipe and I just put a load of butter in, loads of garlic, loads of salt, a bit of smoked paprika, And again, like either grated cheese or just go whatever. A few nuts as well, and that like toast, like fried on a really high heat. Keep tossing it in the pan. Oh my god, it's delicious. So yeah, we're on the same wavelength there. I'm just adding Brussels for, you know, why not? You got to eat them at Christmas, haven't you? You got to have them somewhere.
Excellent. Well, that's Christmas sorted. Lucy, you've been fantastic. We really look forward to all the content and the collaborations that you're going to make with Tim and all the other leek growers and seed companies that next year. Tim, well done for getting this underway. I think with everything that you're doing with British growers and the endorsement, the support, the collaboration with the likes of Veg Power. I know the last 18 months have been tricky for you in so many different ways as a grower, but hang on in there, keep on punching through, because you're basically making the nation healthier by getting us excited about consuming the likes of British veg and the likes of British leek. So Tim, well done. Lucy, well done. We look forward to seeing the success that you both are going to create in 2022. Well done, everyone.
Thank you ever so much, Max.
We'll see you soon. Well done. Keep safe. Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye.